Welcome back to the channel where history, mystery, and money collide in the world of rare coins and unbelievable finds, and today we're diving deep into a coin that most people wouldn't give a second glance until they learn its shocking secret. A 1986 USA 1-cent coin, yes, just a penny by appearance. But behind its humble copper-colored face lies an astonishing value of $693 that has stunned collectors, experts, and historians alike. So grab your magnifying glass, your curiosity, and a passion for hidden treasures, because what we're about to explore will take you through a journey of minting mysteries, error anomalies, overlooked details, and the kind of shocking coin collecting story that might just make you go rummaging through your pocket change immediately. Because when we talk about a coin from 1986 that's worth nearly 700 times its face value, we're talking about a phenomenon shaped by a confluence of rare factors including minting errors, transitional designs, planchet irregularities, and collector market dynamics that have elevated this once ordinary cent into a legend among modern coinage. So let's begin with the context of the 1986 minting year, a year in which the U.S. Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents across multiple locations, most notably in Philadelphia and Denver, transitioning fully into the copper-plated zinc composition introduced in 1982 after decades of solid copper coins, and with that transition came a slew of new challenges for the minting process, including planchet inconsistencies, strike anomalies, die deterioration, and off-center pressing, all of which are potential gold mines, or in this case, copper mines, for savvy collectors who know what to look for. And the 1986 cent has quietly become one of the most hunted coins for this reason, often slipping through the cracks due to its sheer volume in circulation, but now being reevaluated under the lens of rarity and error specificity, with some known examples featuring double die obverse that cause Lincoln's features or the lettering to appear shadowed or duplicated, especially noticeable in inscriptions like Liberty or In God We Trust, while others showcase repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, broad strikes, or even coins struck on foreign planchets, errors that are extremely rare but possible due to the mint's high-speed production environment, and just one confirmed example of a 1986 cent struck on a bronze planchet instead of the standard copper-plated zinc can skyrocket its value, with authenticated versions selling in the hundreds or even thousands depending on grade and clarity of error, and that's just scratching the surface, because die clashes, where the dies hit each other without a planchet in place, can leave ghost-like impressions of design elements on either side of the coin, which when visible and confirmed can add tremendous value to a coin that might otherwise be dismissed as pocket change. And then there's the world of off-metal errors, where a coin intended to be a cent ends up struck on a dime planchet or foreign coin base, which makes the 1986 penny especially intriguing because during that era, the U.S. Mint was also striking coins for other nations under contract, opening the door for misplaced planchets and hybrid strikes that slip through quality control undetected. And let's not forget the importance of condition, because while an error is valuable, an error in pristine, uncirculated mint state condition is exponentially more so, and coins graded by major authorities like PCGS or NGC as MS65 or higher, especially when showcasing unique attributes, become the targets of fierce bidding wars at coin shows, online auctions, and private collector circles. And the 1986 penny in particular has a mystique because it exists at the crossroads of modern and vintage. Produced during the final decades of high circulation pennies before the widespread emergence of debit cards and digital currency made physical change less prominent, meaning fewer people paid attention to the details of their coins, allowing rarities to pass unnoticed. But now, with the rise of social media, online coin communities, and increased public interest in numismatics, more and more people are discovering that something as simple as a penny could be worth hundreds or even thousands depending on its features. With viral stories of people finding rare coins in jars, parking lots, or old dresser drawers gaining massive attention and inspiring a new generation of coin hunters. So when we talk about the 1986 cent worth $693, we're not talking about a fantasy or legend but a very real possibility grounded in authenticated auction results, verifiable minting mistakes, and a highly active collector market hungry for the next big find. And while not every 1986 cent will carry that much value, knowing what to look for, from doubled dies to off-metal strikes to grade perfection, is what turns an everyday object into a miniature treasure. So whether you're a seasoned collector or just someone curious about the change in your pocket, take a moment to examine your 1986 pennies under good lighting or a magnifier. Compare the weight if you can, look for any abnormalities in the text, rim, or image clarity, and remember that every great discovery starts with a second look. And perhaps your next coin could be the one that makes headlines, sells at auction for a jaw-dropping amount, or earns you the title of the next great coin finder in American numismatic history. And if you've enjoyed this deep dive into the surprising value of the 1986 1-cent coin and the rich world of coin collecting, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more eye-opening discoveries, and share it with fellow collectors and curious minds alike, because you never know who might be sitting on a fortune hiding in plain sight. Next, have you ever held a coin so ordinary in appearance, yet hiding a value far beyond what its face suggests, that it could secretly be worth hundreds of dollars without anyone around you suspecting a thing? Welcome to today's deep dive into one of the most astonishing, misunderstood, and talked about coins in American numismatic history, the 1990 1-cent coin from the United States, a penny that defies logic and stuns collectors with a jaw-dropping value of $315, despite its humble appearance as a simple copper-plated zinc cent. While millions of people across the country use pennies every day without a second thought, few realize that certain rare specimens from specific years, like this 1990 Denver minted coin, are turning heads, creating buzz, and commanding huge prices due to extraordinary factors like minting errors, unique dies, and a combination of rarity, demand, and historical anomalies. At first glance, this coin may appear just like every other penny tossed in your change jar, but once you start peeling back the layers, you begin to see why this tiny treasure has become a top-tier obsession among collectors, historians, and coin hunters. What makes this 1990 cent so valuable isn't just one factor, but a compelling mix of minting mistakes, preservation quality, eye appeal, and increasingly limited availability in high grades, factors that fuel intense bidding wars and push its price tag well above its expected worth. The Denver Mint, known for producing billions of coins annually, typically adheres to rigorous quality control standards, but every so often, mistakes slip through the cracks and end up being struck into history. Errors like doubled dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, repunched mint marks, and variations in the composition or finish that result in dramatic price spikes decades later. In the case of the 1990 penny, error varieties have been discovered that include minor doubling in the inscriptions, unusual surface texture, die chips around the Lincoln Memorial or Lincoln's coat, and even misaligned dies that create eccentric and visually compelling anomalies, each one a golden ticket for collectors who know what to look for. Moreover, coins struck with weak strikes, ghosting, or even transitional metal compositions from leftover planchets from previous years can be mistaken for mundane cents unless inspected under magnification and studied against known variants in collector catalogs or grading databases. But beyond the visible errors, condition plays a vital role in determining value, and uncirculated or mint-state examples graded MS65 and above are exceptionally rare and highly sought after, especially when encapsulated and certified by renowned grading authorities like PCGS or NGC. A penny that survived 35 years without a single scratch, fingerprint, or spot of corrosion is like finding a four-leaf clover in a field of weeds, and that rarity drives collectors wild, sending prices skyward at auctions, estate sales, and even online bidding platforms. Coin dealers and auction houses have increasingly spotlighted these 1990 varieties in high grade, or with prominent errors, with final sale prices consistently outpacing expectations, creating a self-sustaining cycle of demand as more people join the hunt. Beyond just its monetary value, this coin has taken on cultural significance among hobbyists as a symbol of why you should always check your change, look twice at old coins before spending them, and keep an eye on overlooked years that mainstream media fails to highlight. It's also a powerful example of how history can hide in plain sight, with small copper discs holding stories of mechanical quirks, human oversight, and the accidental artistry of U.S. minting practices. The 1990 D-cent reflects a broader phenomenon in coin collecting where average coins become legendary through a convergence of circumstances. Whether it's the use of worn-out dies in the final production runs, sudden shifts in minting materials, or even the coincidence of a historical event that later elevates the coin's status. Collectors have documented specific die varieties of the 1990 D penny that feature dramatic die cracks, cut breaks near the date or mint mark, and subtle design changes that can only be caught with a loupe or microscope, making the hunt as much about patience and observation as it is about knowledge and timing. Add to that the growing popularity of YouTube coin channels, TikTok collectors, Reddit numismatics forums, and viral social media posts revealing everyday people discovering valuable coins in their pocket change, and the demand for information and examples of valuable coins like the 1990 D has exploded, turning once overlooked cents into internet-famous artifacts with serious financial potential. It's not just hardcore collectors anymore. Teachers, students, grandparents, and even kids are getting into the search, often inspired by success stories of someone finding a coin in a shoebox or piggy bank and learning it's worth hundreds, or even thousands. This renewed interest has reignited market momentum and encouraged more people to submit their coins for grading, thereby shrinking the number of ungraded gems still in circulation, further increasing scarcity. The result is a rapidly tightening supply of desirable 1990 D cents in high grade, or with eye-catching flaws, and prices continue to rise as people scramble to secure these modern rarities before they vanish into permanent collections or museum archives. And while $315 might seem like an unbelievable price for a 1-cent coin, when you break down the factors, minting history, condition rarity, era uniqueness, and collector demand, it becomes clear why this unassuming penny has earned its place in the pantheon of valuable modern coins. The thrill of discovering one, especially in near-mint condition, is akin to finding treasure buried in your everyday life, a reminder that sometimes history rewards the curious, the observant, and those willing to learn. Whether you're a veteran numismatist or just someone who occasionally checks the change you get from a vending machine, the 1990 D cent serves as a powerful case study in the hidden value of small things, the unpredictable magic of minting, and the enduring excitement of the hunt. So if you happen to come across one of these coins, take a moment to examine it closely. You never know when you might be holding a piece of history worth hundreds. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the amazing story of the 1990 D penny and want more incredible coin tales, discoveries, and value guides, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next big story hiding in your pocket change. Next, today we are diving deep into a fascinating and often overlooked coin that has sparked curiosity and excitement among collectors, hobbyists, and treasure hunters alike. The 2016 D 1-cent coin, a penny that may seem ordinary at first glance but has surprised the numismatic world with sales reaching as high as $65 due to a combination of mint errors, die varieties, and collector demand. And in this detailed video, we will explore every nook and cranny of this copper-plated zinc coin minted in Denver that has transformed from loose change to big money thanks to the kinds of flaws and anomalies that make coins like these not just collectible but historically significant. So sit tight as we walk through the reasons this tiny 1-cent piece has become a giant in the realm of valuable era coins, starting with an understanding of the coin's base design and features, which include the shield reverse design introduced in 2010 to symbolize Lincoln's preservation of the United States as a single, unified country, a bold yet modern representation of unity that frames the words 1 cent prominently across the shield, while the obverse carries the classic Abraham Lincoln profile facing right, with "In God We Trust" inscribed above his head, Liberty to his left, and the date 2016, along with the mint mark D for Denver stamped on the right. But what really sends this otherwise standard penny into a different category are the subtle yet powerful errors and varieties that slip past the eye at first glance but can fetch serious cash on the collector market, beginning with doubled dies which have been reported on some 2016 D pennies, especially on the obverse where Lincoln's profile, the words "In God We Trust" or "Liberty" And even the date may show signs of doubling caused during the hubbing process when the die receives more than one misaligned impression from the master hub, resulting in a visual doubling effect that can be subtle or dramatic depending on the strike pressure and alignment, and these doubled dies can drastically increase a coin's value when verified by third-party grading services like PCGS or NGC. Then there's the category of off-center strikes where the coin blank or planchet is not properly aligned in the press, leading to part of the design being struck off the center, which could range from a slight deviation to major errors where entire parts of the coin's design are missing, with the ideal collectible range being anywhere from 10% to 50% off-center with visible date and mint mark, as these provide strong visual appeal while still confirming the coin's identity and origin. And then we also have die cracks and die chips, another variety of mint error found on 2016 D pennies due to wear and tear on the dies used during high-speed production at the Denver Mint, which strikes billions of pennies annually. And over time the dies develop stress lines or cracks that transfer raised lines onto the coins themselves, and collectors often call these spiked heads when the cracks run through Lincoln's profile, or dramatic die chips that look like blobs around his eyes, beard, or letters on the reverse. And the more visible and uniquely shaped these die chips and cracks are, the higher their desirability in the secondary market, especially among error collectors looking for dramatic examples to add to their sets. And then we come across the famous BIE error, a classic die break between the letters B and E in Liberty that forms what looks like an I, creating the illusion of the word Liberty. And while not limited to the 2016 D penny, this type of die break can be found on coins of various years and is always a popular novelty among collectors, especially if it's well formed and centered. And let's not forget about plating bubbles and peeling, which are particularly prevalent in modern pennies composed of 97.5% zinc and only 2.5% copper plating, because when the copper layer is poorly bonded during the minting process, it can develop small gas pockets or bubbles that distort the surface of the coin, and in some cases, the copper layer peels away entirely, exposing the gray zinc beneath, which lowers the aesthetic appeal for general circulation but raises the curiosity and demand among collectors of minting flaws and these coins with prominent plating issues, especially those that form faces, shapes, or recognizable patterns, can fetch decent prices when listed with clear images and certifications. And moving beyond physical flaws, we also delve into transitional errors, which are less common but potentially devastatingly valuable. And although no widespread confirmed examples exist for a 2016 D transitional planchet error, it is always possible that a leftover blank from a previous composition year or even a foreign planchet was accidentally struck by 2016 D dies, resulting in an off-metal strike that can escape detection due to its size being nearly identical to that of the penny. And these coins, when authenticated, can command thousands of dollars. And we also must consider the growing trend of RPM or repunched mint mark errors, where the mint mark D for Denver appears to have been stamped more than once in slightly different positions, resulting in what looks like a ghosting or shadowing effect. And although the mint mark is now added digitally in die creation rather than punched by hand as it was in earlier decades, anomalies can still occur due to die deterioration or over polishing, leading to distorted or fragmented mint marks that look like RPMs and attract strong interest from modern era collectors who seek out new varieties every year. And then there's the sheer influence of population and condition on value, because with billions of pennies produced every year, the rarity of a 2016 D penny in uncirculated or high mint state grades like MS67 or MS68 becomes a significant factor in pushing up prices. And when combined with any error, even a minor die chip or doubling, these high-grade coins become exceptionally desirable, with some auction listings reaching $50 to $65 or more depending on condition, visibility of the error, and demand from the collector community. And speaking of demand, it's worth noting that the modern coin market has exploded in recent years thanks to social media, online marketplaces like eBay, and educational YouTube channels like this one that inform viewers about what to look for in their change and how to recognize a potentially valuable coin, which has caused a dramatic uptick in sales of even low-denomination coins like this penny for surprising amounts of money. And as more collectors enter the market hoping to find the next big coin from their pocket change, coins like the 2016 D with recognizable errors and in good condition have become hot commodities. And we cannot underestimate the psychological value either, because collectors often develop emotional attachments to coins that show quirky errors, unique shapes, or even resemble faces or symbols accidentally formed by plating issues or die damage. And when multiple collectors seek out the same kind of error, it drives bidding wars that push final prices way above face value. And this is exactly how a seemingly insignificant coin like the 2016 D penny can sell for $65, fueled by a mix of mint-made errors, scarcity in certain conditions, collector curiosity, and market hype. And if you're holding on to a roll of 2016 D pennies, or even just a few random ones from your spare change, it might be worth taking a second look at each one under a magnifier or loupe to examine details like doubling, die chips, plating flaws, or anything else that looks out of the ordinary, because even a tiny anomaly could mean a big payday if it aligns with the known errors or turns out to be a new discovery altogether. And that's one of the most exciting things about collecting modern coins. You never know which one might become the next headline-worthy rarity just waiting to be found in your change jar, coin roll, or old piggy bank. And many people who once ignored pennies altogether are now combing through their collections, visiting coin shows, submitting their finds for grading, and even joining online communities dedicated to error coins where every discovery is shared, analyzed, and sometimes celebrated as a significant addition to the ever-evolving catalog of American numismatics. So if you've ever dismissed a 2016 D penny as worthless, or thought it was just another common coin, think again, because with the right mix of condition, error, and demand, it might just be your ticket to turning 1 cent into $65 or more. So keep hunting, keep learning, and who knows, you might be the next person to uncover a rare error that sets the coin world buzzing. Thanks for watching, and if you found this deep dive valuable, make sure to like the video. Subscribe to the channel for more updates on hidden treasures in your pocket change, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a story that could turn your coins into cash. Next, today, we're diving deep into the remarkable story of the 1978 D 1-cent coin, a copper-plated Lincoln penny that might just be lying unnoticed in someone's drawer or jar, yet shockingly has been valued at up to $218 due to a combination of rare mint errors, historical anomalies, and collector-driven interest that has skyrocketed in recent years. So get ready as we explore every minute detail of this fascinating coin, peeling back the layers of U.S. minting practices, unexpected mistakes, and all the circumstances that could make this tiny copper piece worth a small fortune. Because when we look at this coin from a historical lens, we must first understand the broader context of U.S. coin production in the late 1970s. Specifically at the Denver Mint, which was bustling with activity to meet the demands of a growing economy. And in that chaotic and high-volume production environment, mistakes and imperfections were not only possible but inevitable, making error coins from that era all the more special. And when we zoom in on the 1978 D penny, a number of those errors come to light that can turn this common-looking cent into a valuable collectible, starting with one of the most talked about mistakes, off-center strikes, which occur when the coin blank or planchet isn't properly aligned in the press, resulting in a coin that's partially missing its design or showing an uneven strike. And depending on the degree of the off-center error, the value can rise dramatically, especially if the coin still includes the date and mint mark, which is crucial for identification and authentication. And then we have the double die errors, which have captivated collectors for generations due to their striking visual impact. This error happens during the hubbing process, when a coin die receives more than one impression from the hub in a misaligned manner, creating a doubling effect in the design. Most commonly seen in the lettering such as "Liberty in God We Trust," or the date 1978. And while this type of error is more famously associated with the 1955 and 1969 cents, the 1978 D has its own share of lesser-known but still significant double-die varieties that have recently gained attention in numismatic circles, and this renewed focus has increased demand for even the most minor visible doubling, pushing values up as collectors seek to complete their error sets. And let's not forget about the repunched mint mark errors, especially relevant for coins struck at the Denver Mint, where the D mint mark was punched into the dies manually before the transition to automated systems, and this manual process often resulted in repunched mint marks, RPMs, where the D appears to have been stamped more than once, slightly misaligned, giving it a shadowed or doubled appearance, and the presence of an RPM on a 1978 D penny can significantly increase its value, particularly if the error is dramatic and well-defined under magnification, and collectors love these little quirks because they represent the human element in minting, a relic of the past when precision was still occasionally subject to human error. And then there are the broad-struck coins, another intriguing error type that adds value. These are coins struck outside the collar, which normally holds the planchet in place and gives the coin its standard dimensions and rim, so when the collar fails or is absent, the resulting coin spreads outwards and often appears larger and flatter than normal. And when you have a 1978 D penny with this type of broad strike, especially if the design remains mostly intact, you're looking at a coin that can fetch considerably more than face value on the collector's market. And we should also talk about die cracks and die breaks, which happen when the die used to strike the coin develops fractures or even pieces break off over time due to stress and overuse. And these imperfections get transferred onto the struck coins, creating raised lines or blobs in areas of the coin that were never intended by the original design. These varieties, especially if the cracks are prominent or resemble familiar shapes like a lightning bolt, bird, or even a cud error where a piece of the die has broken off entirely and left a missing chunk in the coin's design, are highly collectible and give the coin a unique fingerprint. And with the 1978 D penny, several known die crack and die break varieties exist, including cuds on Lincoln's head or the rim, which can elevate its desirability and price among collectors. And then there's the extremely rare but possible transitional errors, where a coin is struck using the wrong planchet, such as leftover blanks from a different denomination or metal composition. While this is far less common, there have been instances where 1-cent coins were accidentally struck on dime planchets or foreign coin blanks, resulting in an unusual weight, color, or edge that doesn't match the expected specifications, and such a 1978 D penny struck on an incorrect planchet could be worth hundreds or even thousands depending on its uniqueness and condition. And speaking of condition, we must emphasize that coin grading plays a vital role in determining value, with coins in mint state, MS, condition, particularly those graded MS 65 or higher, commanding the highest premiums, especially if they contain any of the aforementioned errors, because collectors always look for examples that are both visually appealing and technically rare. So if a 1978 D penny with a dramatic RPM or double die is also in pristine, uncirculated condition, it becomes a hot commodity in the numismatic world, and many of these error coins were only recently discovered or catalogued. As advancements in coin examination tools like digital microscopes and enhanced magnifiers have allowed collectors and experts to identify subtle variations that may have gone unnoticed for decades, and this ongoing discovery process means that even today, someone could find a previously unknown variety of 1978 D penny that rewrites what we know about that year's mintage. And let's not overlook the role of auction results and media attention in driving up values, because once a few examples of 1978 D era pennies fetched high prices in auctions or went viral online through collector forums and YouTube channels, the floodgates opened, and more people began scouring their change and family coin collections, increasing both the demand and the perceived rarity of certain error types. And with more people looking than ever before, any verified 1978 D penny with an authentic and dramatic error can now command a price upwards of $218 or more depending on the combination of factors, including rarity, visibility of the error, historical interest, and condition. And all of this contributes to the broader story of how a simple 1-cent coin can become a sought-after treasure, reminding us that numismatics is more than just a hobby. It's a window into history, manufacturing, and even human error, all rolled into one. And with the Denver Mint's high-volume output in 1978, combined with the aging equipment and manual practices still in place at the time, there was a perfect storm of conditions that led to a wider array of mint errors than usual, making that year particularly rich for error coin hunters. And as more and more collectors share their finds online and contribute to digital coin databases, our understanding of what makes the 1978 penny valuable continues to evolve, and each new discovery adds a new piece to the puzzle. So whether you're a seasoned collector or someone just starting out, this story shows why it pays, literally, to look closely at every penny, because you never know when you might be holding a piece of minting history worth hundreds of dollars. And if you're enjoying this deep dive into the world of rare coins and unexpected value hidden in plain sight, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another story that could change the way you look at your spare change forever. Last, today's deep dive into one of the most fascinating stories in the world of rare coins and numismatic treasures, where a small copper coin, the 1972 S1 cent, carries a jaw-dropping value of $392 due to a range of incredibly rare errors, striking mistakes, and minting anomalies that have set the collecting community on fire. If you've ever thought a penny is just a penny, this video is going to completely flip that idea upside down as we explore how a tiny coin minted over half a century ago in San Francisco has stunned collectors with its hidden details and mind-blowing resale potential. Now, let's dive right into the incredible world of this 1972 Lincoln cent, a coin that looks ordinary at first glance, with its familiar image of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, but is anything but ordinary once you take a closer look. The first and most talked about reason this coin commands such a high value in the collector's market is due to the notorious doubling error known as the double die, a result of misalignment during the die creation process where the design is imprinted more than once at a slightly different angle or position, causing a ghost-like doubling of the letters, numbers, or details on the coin. While 1972 saw a number of double die errors across multiple mint locations, the 1972 double die is one of the more elusive and compelling examples, with clear doubling found on the inscriptions such as, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, 1972. Collectors who spot this doubling know they've found something remarkable, as this error was not widespread and occurred in very limited production runs, making it a must-have for anyone building a full Lincoln cent error set. Another factor adding to the 1972 penny's desirability is the sheer rarity of high-grade specimens, especially those struck in proof quality by the San Francisco Mint. While the mint mark indicates a proof coin in most cases from that era, the 1972 is unique because certain business strike versions exist alongside proofs, and distinguishing between the two requires a trained eye. The business strikes were not struck with the same level of care, making flawless examples extremely rare. Coins with full red luster and little to no contact marks are among the hardest to find, and these are the ones fetching hundreds of dollars at auction, especially when combined with an error or die variety. Another reason the value of the 1972 penny has soared is due to die breaks and cuds, which are additional minting errors where portions of the die crack or chip, leading to raised lines or blobs on the final coin. Some 1972 specimens display dramatic die cracks running across Lincoln's bust, the fields, or even across the date or mint mark, creating visual anomalies that are highly collectible. In some instances, large die chips, known as cuds, form along the rim, creating a missing chunk of design that is unmistakable and fascinating for collectors who specialize in such peculiarities. These cuds are incredibly rare in the 1972 series and are usually limited to just a few known specimens, which elevates their market value and makes them targets at auctions and coin shows alike. In addition, the 1972 is notable for a rare repunched mintmark variety, or RPM, in which the mintmark appears more than once due to multiple punches being slightly misaligned. This was more common in older minting practices when mintmarks were hand-punched into dies, leading to variations like the S over S RPMs. These varieties are intensely studied by specialists and tracked through detailed databases maintained by error coin researchers, and finding one in high grade almost guarantees a significant payout. The presence of both an RPM and a double die in a single coin is extremely rare but not impossible, and such specimens would be the holy grail of 1972 pennies, easily fetching thousands depending on the condition and clarity of the errors. Another contributing factor is off-center strikes, where the coin is not properly aligned within the minting press and is struck partially outside the intended boundary, leading to a coin with a crescent-shaped blank area and a shifted design. Off-center 1972 pennies are very rare and highly sought after, especially when the date and mint mark are still visible, as this allows attribution and historical validation while still showcasing the dramatic visual impact of the error. A well-centered off-center strike, say 10 to 30% off, with full features intact, can sell for multiple hundreds on its own, and when paired with other anomalies, the value only multiplies. Even more, 1972 pennies are known to sometimes exhibit die clashes, which happen when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, transferring parts of the design onto each other and leaving behind ghostly outlines or mirrored images on the final coins. While rare, die clash errors on the 1972 cents are mesmerizing to collectors and create unique visual interest, often showing parts of Lincoln's image bleeding into the memorial or vice versa. Beyond striking errors, the condition of the coin plays a pivotal role in determining its value, as coins that have been preserved in pristine condition, especially those with a full red color designation by grading services like PCGS or NGC, can command significantly higher prices. Red coins indicate minimal exposure to air and oxidation, preserving the original coppery brilliance from the day it was struck. Only a small fraction of all 1972 cents in circulation or in collections today still retain this coveted red status, making them exceptionally valuable. Adding to this scarcity is the history of coin collecting itself, where many of these era coins were not recognized at the time of minting and went unnoticed by the public, leading to most of them being spent or damaged in circulation, while only a few were plucked out by sharp-eyed collectors and preserved. As the hobby has matured and technology has improved, more collectors and dealers are using tools like high-powered magnifiers and microscopes to inspect coins for hidden errors, and the 1972 is one of the most commonly re-examined years due to the volume and variety of potential mistakes. The growing awareness around this particular coin has led to a surge in demand, with collectors now willing to pay premium prices not just for major errors but also for minor anomalies like die scratches, ghosting, strike-throughs, and more. Strike-through errors occur when a foreign object like a piece of cloth, grease, or metal shaving gets between the die and the planchet during minting, resulting in unusual depressions or textures that are one of a kind. These kinds of errors on a 1972 penny, especially if dramatic and centered, are gold for collectors who value visual uniqueness and rarity combined. It's also worth mentioning that many of these valuable 1972 coins were discovered years later, some even decades after minting, in old change jars, coin rolls, and inherited collections, proving that treasures can still be found hiding in plain sight and motivating a new generation of coin hunters to search through pocket change with renewed enthusiasm. Auction records further prove the coin's remarkable value, with some high-grade examples with clear doubling, sharp RPMs, or pristine red designation going for hundreds, and in rare cases, over $1,000 when multiple error types align. And while not every 1972 penny is worth a fortune, the possibility alone is enough to keep interest in this coin alive and thriving, especially when combined with the historical appeal of Lincoln cents in general. This combination of historical importance, eye-catching errors, rarity and high grades, and a growing collector base has turned the 1972 1 cent into a mini-legend in the world of numismatics, and its value is only likely to climb as more people discover the joy of coin collecting and the thrill of the hunt for valuable mistakes. So, whether you're a seasoned collector or someone just getting started, keep an eye out for this special cent. You never know when you might stumble across one in a roll or a forgotten jar and end up holding a small copper fortune in your hand. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into the amazing world of the 1972 penny and its $392 value due to its rare and incredible mint errors, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more exciting numismatic content, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss our next episode where we explore more coins worth big money that might just be hiding in your pocket change right now.